And we're back. Actually, I'm just back because Dick is not here. I'm just kidding. He is here. Ha! I lied.
Hey, it's me.
Oh, so it's been a long week for me, Dick. I don't know about you.
No, it's been great. I have no kids, so
Technically, I've only kind of had kids this week. There's been a lot of driving involved to get my kids to and from school. But aside from that, it's been mostly chill. But not at all. It's first week of set championships. How'd that go for you?
well, it depends on how you look at it. I had a great time, but I went to one of my favorite stores in the entire country, and I was their set championship, or I was their set champion 2 times in a row. I missed one of their set championships, and unfortunately,
Probably because you didn't live there then.
right. Even though I'm born and raised here, I did go up north for set championships during the Stitches. But I absolutely love this store. I gush about them all the time, and I feel like I let them down by losing in the finals. So, yeah, gameplay wise, it was good. I mean, I made the finals, so that's nice. And I got destroyed by Sploosh Magoosh. I got destroyed by Sploosh Magoosh, which me and him would make a great team.
Sploosh Magoosh and Dick Burns.
Yeah, that it would be such a good team name. But yeah, I had a great time hanging out. Actually, I only get to see the people there a couple of times a year because the store is 2 hours from me, so 4-hour round trip. I don't get to go hang out there that much. But I got to see some old friends, made some new friends. I walked in, there was a brand new player. He had just started a couple of weeks ago, and he went, "Oh my god, it's someone from TFM. I was just watching your video on the way here," which was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, and I talked to him for maybe an hour. We both got into the game because we're married with kids.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. Yeah, so it was just a great time. You?
I played 2 rounds and went home.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I showed up, lost my round 1 on the draw against Amber Steel Mines. I actually 2-0'd my round 2 opponent, but Kylie lost and was 0-2. And I looked at her and I said, "Do you still want to stay here? Because it's going to be like another 3 rounds plus top 8, yada, yada, yada." And she said, "No, I don't feel good." So I just conceded to my opponent and went home. That's how it be sometimes. Honestly, I spent like 6 weekends in a row testing for NACC, and if I'm being completely honest, I was pretty burnt out, and I did not want to go to set championships last weekend. I just didn't.
Yeah.
That's like the honest truth of like, I was just, even this weekend, I'm not playing in any set champions this weekend because quite honestly, when it comes to the game and playing with set 6, I'm like pretty close to like I don't need to play anymore. Even though we have been working on a new deck and I'm like really interested in how that's going to work out. I'm kind of relying on Colby to do the most of the brunt work at this point. And I don't know, like I'm just tired. The game to me is great. It's in a great position, and I it's normally something I would be excited for. But right now, I'm just like, I don't know. I'm okay just kind of taking a couple weeks off, not stressing at all about winning a scar because, quite frankly, I don't care. I'm like the kind of person that like set championships honestly means nothing to me. I don't care. I don't have a local game store that I'm like the champion of, like you just considered yourself. Like, I just don't care. So for me, like I just go, I hang out, I support the stores more than anything. That's honestly the only thing I like about set championships. In the last, in every season so far, I've made sure that I've gone to different stores each time. So since I've gone to them each time, like I've like met more store owners, I've met more communities. Like that's what I enjoy most about set championships because I do think it's like the best opportunity for a store to like invite you in and say, "Hey, this is what we're about. This is kind of what we're doing." Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Not every store is great. In all honesty, some of them kind of suck, but This past weekend, I think that there were 15 or 16 people in the tournament, if I remember correctly. And I was even confused. I don't, I wasn't going to like hound the person, but I think it was 15 players and it was set to be 5 rounds cut to top 4. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm pretty
I
sure.
heard a couple of stores doing like 12 players cut to top 8 because it's 8 promos when you're just supposed to give the 4 more promos to 5th through 8th after Swiss.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I don't know.
a lot of these stores have never had competitive tournaments.
I don't know that they've never had competitive tournaments. I think that I don't I don't want to go back to last week, but I don't think the rules are very clear. So yeah, I think it was supposed to be, I remember playing in set championships last set championship where it was like a 14-person peep sign up and it was 4 rounds cut to top 4. So when it was 15 people, all of a sudden it was 5 rounds cut to top 4. I'm like, why is there a whole extra round? Like, I don't really understand. I don't really care at the end of the day, but in that day I kind of did because Kylie wasn't feeling well. So I was like, yeah, I'm like, now it's like a whole extra round to where I have to sit here, I have to play for a whole extra hour. She's not feeling well. And then if I make top 8, obviously I'm not just gonna like walk away. That means I gotta play the whole top 8, yada yada. So it was one of those where I just made the decision early on where I'm like, you know what, today I just could have done anything else and I didn't need to play Disney Lorcana today. And that's kind of the same thing for this weekend. Like, I think I'm just gonna chill and not participate. Next weekend I'm gonna go and play because I haven't been to Top Deck in a while and their set championship is next weekend. So I'm gonna go hang out at Top Deck for sure. But aside from that, I think I'm gonna hang out. But I don't know. That's just me. I think I finally reached that point where I cared so much about NACC and I was doing so much testing / so much like theory and watching and etc. that I think I hit a point where I'm like, okay, I just need a few weeks off. Honestly, even on the channel, if anyone's been paying attention, like there wasn't any content on the channel this week. And yeah, I've been busy, but like the other truth is that like I do not like to put on a show. I don't like to be fake. So like if I don't feel extra committed to it and I don't really believe in what I'm saying, then I'm not like this huge person of like, oh, I'm just gonna go make a meta report. Like if I'm not there, if I'm not like really researching, like I believe that I do, and I go and I look at the list and I kind of study the tournament and stuff like that. If I'm not going to put that much effort into doing it, then I'm like just not going to do it. That's just, I don't know. It's kind of how I am.
Yeah, I had a set champs last set championships for the Mirabelles. I did not want to play that day at all. I made the decision. I drove there. I split round 1 and I dropped. I was just like, yeah, I didn't want to come at all. I just wanted to hand you my $25.
That's honestly like that was the thing too, is like I remember I think it was Friday night, Kylie and I were thinking about what we were gonna do if we were gonna go to a tournament Saturday or tournament Sunday. And when we looked at the store only had 6 signups. And I'm like, all right, let's just go. Like if I donate $20, whatever, I donate $20. I don't really care. But at least I can say, all right, we showed up. They fired their tournament. People got to play that day, stuff like that. So that's kind of how I felt too, is that I think it's important for these to be successful so they can grow and kind of like invite more people. But it was also like a Saturday afternoon at 12 or 1 or whatever, and there was no one else in the store. So it was just, and it's a pretty big store too. Like I'd say they could probably hold like 80 people upstairs, maybe. You Red Caps. I don't know how familiar you are, like when's the last time you were in Red Caps or anything like that. But Red Caps has like a 2-layer store. The top layer, I think it probably holds like 80 people. So the idea that we only have 15 people in a giant building was like, kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I'll be playing this weekend because I don't have a choice next weekend. There's nothing within like 2 hours. Being in the middle of nowhere, sometimes.
Well, you can get on like a 27-hour flight and go to Australia.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to, but it's just not in the cards, as they say.
Yeah. Yeah. Facts. Well, when do you have to pick up your kids?
The 30th.
When do you come home?
Also the 30th.
Oh, okay. All right. Around.
We meet in Virginia.
Oh, okay. Got you. I see you. The 30th is my sister's birthday. Happy birthday, Katie.
I'll be there.
Oh wait, so the 30th, that's next Thursday?
Wednesday?
Oh, okay.
I think it wasn't a Thursday. I was like, Mom. Oh, sorry, 29th. Next
29th,
Wednesday.
okay.
Yeah. I was like, Mom, too busy. All Thursdays. I just learned this. I agreed to be on Lorcana After Dark, immediately rescinded. when I was reminded, I have my own podcast.
Yeah.
But even though
we will be doing some different times in the next few weeks. I also think that we will officially not be live on the 6th of February because that's the day that we're all traveling to Miami. So yeah, we can't be live that day.
I'm not traveling that day.
Well,
I'll
everyone
go live.
else,
I have 2 webcams. I'll play with myself.
Dan is always trying to play with Dick. Yes, got it.
Well, we can edit out this entire 1 minute block.
No, it's fine. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you and Nunes can come hang out that night. Spoilers: there will be a random David Nunes in the future on this podcast when he shows up. Allegedly. He's currently coaching because he does that, which is nice. So yeah, set champs for me. I think I just need a few weeks off, and then I'll be like, oh, look at that! It's like I said his name, and he magically appeared. Kapow!
Hey, boom! Look at that A-team hoodie.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Look at this.
If you had gone to California, you could have had one too.
No, that's not true at all. I just didn't get one.
AJ didn't go to California. He's got one. AJ A-team confirmed.
That means you just confirmed Melissa and Ben for the A-team. I don't know.
That's true. It's true. I have to sit at the little kids' table, me and Pave, with our chocolate balls.
We're kind of catching up on set champs this past weekend, Nunes. How was your weekend?
My weekend was good. I played 2 set champs. Did pretty well on them. This Amethyst Steel deck is kind of great.
Yeah, I agree. You also you did not make any changes from your 42nd place finish in NACC?
No, just ran it back. I don't think there's any like immediate changes that I would think would need to be made. And so I was kind of having the thought that most people took like a month off from Lorcana, whereas like I was very much living and breathing it and like focusing very hard for Continentals. So in some ways, like the rest of the set championships community is like behind where I'm at. So maybe if the metagame adapts more over the next couple of weeks, I'll need to make more changes. But like as it stands, I think the deck is like pretty prime.
Yeah, I guess that's an interesting conversation. I don't know if it'll change, right? Like, I think it's weird because obviously we have this 10K that's coming up. But aside from that, Australia apparently isn't even capped for their DLC, which is kind of crazy to think about. Normally, for all of all Europe and North American have been capped like immediately, and then you're hoping that you just randomly get off the wait list. Australia is not that. You can literally go on the website right now, click on it, and buy a ticket if you wanted to. So knowing that and kind of understanding that, all right, well, there is no like primetime DLC coming up or anything like that. I don't know if the average player is going to even go through the effort of even sleeving up like another deck over the next 3 weeks,
I think there's interesting regional differences in terms of what decks get played and what decks don't get played and how people approach the game. Where I think the recent set champs that I played had more Amber Steel than I would have expected and less Ruby Sapphire than I would have expected.
Sure.
It's hard to say.
I think that just comes back to even like I saw a bunch of Emerald Steel reports, right? And I think that really just goes back to, last set championship, Emerald Steel was kind of all over the place. So people probably were just like, oh, I haven't really played Lorcana in 3 months, like you just said, because, there wasn't anything to do if you didn't go to NACC. So they're like, oh, I'll just like, there hasn't been any really changes to this. I don't really need to buy any new cards. I can just sleeve this up and it's probably like, not that much different. So I could see a lot of that going. I always felt that way about Set Champion. That's also why, like, for the first season and the second season, I felt like Ruby Amethyst was still the most played deck. Even though Ruby Amethyst might not have been like the best choice in the second Set Championship metagame, it was still highly played because that's just what people were comfortable playing.
That was also the budget deck back then.
It's funny that you say that. It was still close to $200.
Yeah,
I mean, for this game, $200 is like kind of a budget deck, though.
I think it's actually kind of close to average.
Now for sure, it's changed.
I mean, there are like the Amber Steel Songs deck is, I think, currently the most expensive deck, hovering around $450 depending on like the exact list.
Emerald Ruby Sapphire like $350.
I think Emerald Steel is like $350. I think Ruby Sapphire is like $350. Ruby Amethyst would come in at around right now without castles. And this is like when castles was expensive. So it's probably actually pretty close to like 150 right now is my guess. So it's definitely cheaper now.
It gets, depending on what cards you're choosing to include, it can get up to like 200.
Yeah, like same thing for like the Amethyst Steel mid-range deck. I'm not positive. Your list is probably just over $200. I think
it's like 230, something like that. Genie really messes with the math on stuff.
Right. So Genie's up there. Belle kind of spiked. Elsa's kind of spiked. So a lot of those cards are just like the sought after cards. That's why they're so expensive. But like the aggro decks they're closer to 100 than they are 200. So I don't know. So I think it's interesting. It is weird. I think that came up. There was like a comment on the video from the Baja Vest video that was like, "Oh, $100 is so expensive. That's crazy that we consider that budget." And I'm just like, I don't know. If you could tell me I could spend $100 on a deck that could win me, a side event at NACC that was worth like $1,500, I think that's a pretty good bet. Like you just 15x or whatever. So
it's a different mindset, though, right? Like you could buy a AAA video game for $60 or whatever, right? Like,
well, they came from Pokemon.
That's what I'm saying. You play a lot of games, right? So, like, what is like the average budget deck in some of the other games?
Well, like the most expensive Pokemon deck was like $100.
Okay, so that's just like crazy, like super crazy cheap.
There's just so many more cards opened, and the cards that are expensive are not the ones that you necessarily want to play with.
Right, the super ultra alternate foil rare, like so right now the Pokemon cards are all selling out because there's like $600 Umbreons, $600 Evolutions.
Yeah, I don't want to hear the price. I don't want to know. So, Umbreon fan right here. What about that mono red deck that you played? Like, what was the cost of that? Was that actually high, or was it?
It wasn't high relative to a Magic deck, but it was like relatively higher for mono red. So that there's a card, Screaming Nemesis. There's a 3-cost 3/3 with haste, so it can attack immediately. And whenever it takes damage, it deals damage equal to the damage that it was dealt to any target. And if you deal that damage to the opposing player, they can't gain life for the rest of the game.
Okay.
So that mythic rare spiked to like $30.
Okay.
So of the maybe $200 deck cost, like $120 was the 4 copies of Screaming Nemesis.
Okay. I mean, it's because it's a mythic, but yeah, sure. It's also insane. It's like a Rafiki on absolute crack.
It is quite the card, yeah.
Shout out to a guy this week that purchased cards from the store, and it was like every Rafiki ever printed. I was like, he's a fan. Do you have another busy weekend coming up?
I think I'm trying to play SI Champs on Saturday and SI Champs on Sunday. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get to 8. I currently don't know of any that are on February 9th near me with the rider of like it has to be reasonable travel distance, but I might play 8. I'm not sure.
That's fair. That's a good goal, I guess. If that's that's what you're gonna do right now. I mean, what else is there to do?
I mean, I just paid $200 for Coursely. That's the name of the website. I'm gonna do like a Google data analytics course, and it was like $200 for a year membership. So
Wow.
that's something else to do, I guess. I don't know.
Scott
Nerd.
would be so excited for you.
I've like literally talked to Scott about his job. So
There we go.
That's what pays my
No, I
bill.
mean, listen, Dick can make jokes about you being a nerd, but education's key. So
I wasn't making a joke.
knowledge and wisdom is the real power. That's my favorite line out of The Sword in the Stone. Yeah.
there we
If I'm
are.
gonna buy a piece of artwork at Disneyland, I might as well live this life, you know?
That's true. That's true. Yeah, last time we had seen Nunes, we were not Disneyland enthusiasts at the time. It was fun though. All the pictures are out there on the socials for anyone that wants to see that. That was a lot of fun. So before we move on, anything else with set champs we wanted to get in there?
I grabbed the deck that I played in ICL like 2 months ago, and then I was like, oh wait, they printed Pluto, so I grabbed 2 Plutos and put that in.
Oh,
Forgot about every other card that's been printed since. My opponent played a Calhoun against me. I was like, I think that's a good card. I should have put that in here. I was just rocking. I was just sick of playing everything else, and I was like, you know what? I've only ever played Amber Steel at this store. I'm just gonna grab the Amber Steel deck that's on my desk.
I just want to say that he literally just proved my point about people just
Yeah.
play the whatever. Like
That's the only reason I thought of it, is because you were just saying like people are just playing whatever. I have a few people at locals who they only play whatever won like the latest big
Yeah.
tournament. So
Yeah.
they're not gonna update their deck in God knows how long.
no,
till Australia deck lists come out.
maybe.
When there's
Yeah.
100 people and 60 of them qualify.
I don't know. I think we can wait to talk about that probably after the fact. But
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that one. I still think they're gonna have, 1,000. That's my guess. Maybe not 1,000, but like they'll be close enough to it.
Yeah.
Like I think for us, our smallest one was technically 960 or something like that. I think that was Chicago. Chicago was the smallest one for us. So I think that
smaller than Toronto.
I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was.
I'm not
I mean,
100%
maybe
sure.
I could be wrong. Don't get me wrong. They were close. They weren't that far apart. Neither of them were over 1,000. I remember that.
Yeah.
I think you should put out like a promo code if like anyone can day 2 with rescuers cards in their deck, they get like half off coaching.
If they can figure that out, they don't need coaching, bro.
Because they're down under.
Yeah,
Okay.
rescuers down under.
Like, what's the line?
Oh.
Is one rescuer's card enough? Like, how many?
Yep.
3.5 is the
Ink
line.
it every time. Just ink it every time. When I opened like 5 cases and got 12 of that 0-1 Mickey that you can pay to play a character. Yeah, I was like, all right, I'm gonna play blue steel in an SCG. I'm going to ink this with Fishbone Quill every time, but it'll appear in ink decks because I just lost like $500.
And then they made that card enchanted too. Ooh. Rough.
But
rough. I don't know. I don't know. Hard to say. We'll see.
Are we allowed to put comments like this up? Anyway, this is one of my locals. Appreciate him. He's always watching. I don't think I'm going to be at tier 0.
Oh, Chippendales. Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's weird. I think people are excited, but I feel like now that more stores have gotten it, it is closer to just mostly like plus 10% of what your normal local is. Like that's kind of what it all feels to me. So I don't know. It's hard to gauge, That's kind of where I'm at. I don't know how easy it is to gauge on the success of them currently.
Oh,
specifically after 1 week. Yeah.
I think they're great because it gives locals a reason to charge like $25 instead of it's free or it's $7 because people are so cheap. Yeah, like I still think they should provide more price support if they're charging $25. It shouldn't just be the promos or whatever. But it's nice that it's supplemented. I did just find out, like, I don't know if this is true at all distributors. You have to spend a certain amount of money with your distributor to get the promo kit.
I believe that.
Yeah. So, like, it is a nice reward if you have people coming weekly. Otherwise, you're not going to make out, like, trying to run this tournament that you don't have a crowd for, and you had to spend $500 on sealed product that you don't have a crowd for. So,
I mean, $500 is like more like one case plus, like, like 2 cases. Like, that's not.
And a lot of stores can't afford this. I know
that seems unrealistic, but okay.
No, stores are very cash poor. Like, I don't know. We could talk off air.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I clearly buy, I don't know, 20 or 30 of them. So the idea that a store couldn't buy 2 seems ridiculous.
Yeah. It's rough down here.
I was gonna say, there's also regional differences there, like.
Yeah.
I guess. That's tough. I don't know. I think that is by design poor by the store, would be my humble opinion of that. But yeah, like you said, like, okay, it's nice that they can go $20 or $25, whatever. What I can't stand is the like $40 ones that provide no additional prizes unless they hit a number. So like the store that I just won't go to this weekend is a $40 buy-in, and they're like, oh, if there's 30 players, we'll add prizes to top 8. It's like, so at like 28, you just take in $48 each and you give nothing.
Yeah, I covered that in
what we're doing.
I covered that in my video about what I think prize support should be at a store.
Yeah,
like, don't just give out.
Right? I don't think I released that yet.
That's out, I think.
Is it out? I know I edited it. I don't know if I put it out though.
Well, if it's not out, spoilers. It's actually a fun.
I know
one.
I did edit it.
Not all the sad stuff. Yeah. So yeah, go subscribe to Team TFM if you want to learn about opening a store.
Currently going through a rebrand. Don't worry, more to come. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's the weird part, is that there's definitely stores that are great and they're doing a great job, and hopefully they're able to excel. But then it's weird too, because there's so much competition, Like, it's crazy to me that there's so many stores that just come out of nowhere that have set championships in Philadelphia, but I could not tell you if they play Lorcana any other day of the next 3 months.
Yeah. Whereas here, if every store within an hour and a half of me picked a day, there would be one each day, and no overlap. What ended up happening is 3 of them are on the same day because no one communicates, and then there's a full weekend with none. And there's like a full 1 day of a weekend with none.
Yeah. Seems fun.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to help everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. A few people know that behind the scenes, that I'm trying to rally all the stores.
You can only do so much. You cannot help the helpless. That's something that I've learned. But speaking of that, Dick, you had some shout outs that you wanted to go through. You want to take over them?
I did.
Well, I'll pop them on for you.
Wow. Yeah, I was gonna say.
There you go.
Well, first of all, I got to play with my son recently, so that's nice. For those that don't know, this is my son Graham. So when I am born and raised in North Carolina, as everyone knows, right? And I met his mother a long time ago, and unfortunately, I didn't know that little Graham came along. But Papa's here now. Okay. If Graham would come to a DLC, he could meet his grandfather, Scott. And I love him. That's all there is to it. This is my son. I just want everyone to know that. Everyone thought I only had 2 daughters, but I appreciated him coming out to support. This was Joel's memorial tournament. This is probably gonna be the last time we talk about it. I'm not trying to get like clout from this. I do, however, want to thank everyone who came out and supported it. So, here's everyone playing. I really appreciate Tay and Keith, all right, because they couldn't get babysitter, And that was the most well-behaved child I have ever experienced in my entire life. Absolutely perfect child all day. Yeah, and then in the top right corner was the start of the top 8. So we had Kent defending the home team, and then we had 2 home team guys in the top of it. Gerald taking on Chris. Let's see. Boop. And then we had Turbo Stomp, who was an incoming guy, and he was taking on Ryan in the top right corner. And then we had James. A few people probably know James. I mentioned him a lot. He was also defending the home team.
Southern Dan.
Yes, Southern Dan. Kent is actually Southern Nunes. Yeah, you guys met Kent at PAX. And I was explaining the similarities of, like, Kent is the one that when I'm feeling awful about myself, he's there to be to rationalize it. He's also the one when I'm being hyperbolic to explain how stupid I am. And I'm like, yeah, Kent, I know. I'm not being serious. I have these same conversations with Nunes. I'll say something obvious, just off the wall. And Nunes is like, well, Dick. I'm like, shut up, Nunes. And then this was the top 4. So James went away in top 4. Turbo Stomp and Gerald made the finals, and Gerald actually won. So he defended the home team. And this event was held at Well Played Games, and I wanted to give them a specific shout out. Their own thing here. They're in Greenville. They offered up the space. They offered up, out of their own pockets, an entire case.
That's an adorable logo.
Yeah, they actually have a restaurant in their business. So
hence the cafe.
Yes.
Do they have boba?
I have no idea. I've never eaten there. But I know most of the other locals do eat when they go there. And then here's some of the top donators. So we got Jorge all the way from Puerto Rico sending a care package. Absolutely amazing. We had Team Rebirth supplying us a runner-up Stitch playmat. Triangle Area Trading Cards. They sent their whole team. They have a new team that they're sponsoring, the Incredible Tryhards, right? Because they're from the Triangle area.
I think that name is a tryhard.
Yeah, well, that's Turbo Stomp. And Turbo Stomp and his team brought the Mirabelles. There's Unplugged Games. They provided 4 different enchanteds. And then the Gilded Dragon, actually, they had donated on the GoFundMe. And he had asked me what I thought would help more. And I was like, hey, man, at this point, like, we have enough prizing. Like a few more people brought stuff. We had enough prizing where every single person that played, like, at least got their monies back, which was great to, like, encourage the people who didn't know the situation to come out. So the Gilded Dragon went ahead and made a care package specifically for AJ. Geo came and dropped it off, and yeah, they didn't want a shout out, but I'm giving it to them anyway. Yeah,
well earned, well deserved.
Yeah. So yeah, again, thank you everyone who came to that. I was actually just on the phone with someone earlier who couldn't make it, and he was like, he was like, man, I feel really bad. Like, I'm part of locals, like, I'm part of the scene, but my whole family is visiting. And I was just like, man, it's all good. It was so successful. I think that it is the most fulfilled I have ever been playing a card game in my entire life. And if that is, like, the biggest accomplishment I ever have in card games, I will die happy, because it was such a thrill to see something so successful and to see people come together. Especially when, like, we're usually on here just, like, raging about Ravensburger or something. But yeah, that's all I got. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, I'm glad it was successful. What was the winning deck?
I don't want to say. Gerald's absolute monstrosity, trash of a deck. his ruby amethyst burn deck with thievery, and yeah, just me and him get into it over thievery.
Yeah.
Screaming matches.
How's it feel to be wrong?
No. Are you talking to Gerald? Because he thinks the card's great. Oh my gosh.
Card's pretty bad, but hey, how's it feel to be wrong? He
Has
was
he-
right that day.
Sure. Sure.
That's fair. That's fair.
Oh gosh.
So yeah, that was like your, we didn't get to it last week. We kind of meant to, and then we didn't have the slides made, but figure we, get to it this week. And then, yeah.
Hopefully encourage more people to do the same.
Yeah,
in their areas.
I know that, our friend Toby, they had a memorial tournament for him
At Phenomenal.
At Phenomenal. I think it was the same weekend, but the next day at Phenomenal Games. I unfortunately didn't hear anything about it. I was in NACC, so I couldn't attend, but I didn't hear anything about it, so I don't know how it went. Hopefully it went well. I haven't talked to Toby or anything, or I don't think anyone that I personally talk to regularly went, so hopefully it went well. Hard to say. Didn't see any pictures though. People got to take pictures of stuff.
Yeah. Well, you also want like a fine balance between like, you're doing it out of the kindness of your heart, and it's kind of like GoFundMe, like when people do it anonymously.
Sure.
And I actually choose not to do it anonymously because I want other people to kind of feel like, oh, Dick donate, I should also donate.
Sure.
What I mean?
I mean, it's the same thing though. Like, though, it's just like you said. Like, if you want more people to be successful at doing it, it's not about getting the clout for doing that. It's about like, hey, we did this. Like,
Yeah.
It's possible. So the fact that you can showcase it and you can, like, if anything, it'll be taking pictures is the memory that you want. You want to go back to it next year and be like, all right, you know what, I accomplished that on that day. So stuff like that. That's how I feel about those things. Not everything deserves it, not everything needs it, but stuff like that, at the very least, you made the best of an awful situation. So like, you'll have that and to carry with you is kind of where I'm at. If it was like literally any other weekend, I probably would have flew down for it. So, like, that's kind of where I'm at with that. But, seeing AJ smile and laugh for getting a jersey, and that's all I needed too. Like, I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
I made my kid smile that day too, and that's kind of how I felt about it.
Everyone was so happy about that. Like almost everyone pulled me aside and was like, that was just
Oh. All right, so moving on. Right, we're gonna remove this guy from here. Kaping, bye friend. We got some stuff. So for those that live under a rock and haven't heard yet, because it was just announced a few hours ago, the reveal or spoiler season. What are you guys? Are you guys spoiler fans or reveal fans? Nunes is muted. Do you know you're muted, Nunes? Do you know that? You wear
Yeah,
that?
no, I'm muted. I was gonna let Dick do his thing.
Oh, okay, that's fair. So what do you guys like? Do you guys like spoiler season or reveal season?
I've seen debate on this earlier, and I couldn't believe that this was debate. Like, did people know in the English language some words have multiple meanings and some meanings have multiple words? Like, I couldn't think of something I care less about.
I think I don't feel strongly about this, but
yeah, it's just like I don't know.
I'm a spoiler guy. I like spoilers. I don't know.
The word.
I don't like spoilers in movies, but I like spoilers in cards.
Yeah.
I don't know. Nunes, do you care at all?
I feel like we've typically called it spoiler season in other card games.
Yeah, I agree. I do, for whatever reason, believe that it's specifically card reveals in Disney Lorcana. I think that
Just like your hand altering as opposed to a mulligan.
It is alter, yes, which we had a really fun conversation about at NACC. I forget where you were, but I know me, Melissa, and Ben were talking with Steve, and he was saying how basically no one ever remembers to say mulligan. or no one ever remembers to say alter.
Oh, to say
yeah,
Metagame.
exactly. No
I
one ever
mean-
says alter. Everyone says mulligan. I'm just like, I was unaware that it's not mulligan. It's like,
I'm shocked alter is not trademarked.
I mean, it's not like mulligan is trademarked.
No, but like there's an altered TCG now. And Wizards of the Coast owned trading card game for many years, and that's why
Yeah.
some games were collectible card games.
Yeah, which is stupid.
Yeah.
All right. So, fun fact: without a shadow of a doubt, for the next infinite weeks of all eternity, I am never going to say the name of this set correctly.
Duh.
I remember someone telling me how it's pronounced, and I don't remember how it's pronounced. I have no idea how to pronounce this word.
Archazias.
That doesn't sound right. That can't be right.
It's a name. So.
I've heard Arcasias.
AJ gets it.
Yeah.
Arcasia, is that what it is?
I saw on Lorcana Villain's video. Spoiler. By the way, someone brought this up to me at Set Champs. Yo, are you gonna fight Lorcana Villain? I was like, you didn't see the envious spoiler. We're friends. So he said in his video that Ravensburger had told him the wrong name. Like when they talked about it. So like
Arcasia. All right.
Arcasia. So
is that your rap name? Oh, guys, what is with the name? I mean,
you want it to be unique.
I don't want to hate, right? But like, I'm like this could have been anything. It could have been anything.
Wait, you want it to be Ked's Island?
It's
Michael's Island? Like, no, it's a made-up name.
Oh my god. Why couldn't it be like a made-up pronounceable name?
I mean, if you read Azeroth for the first time, are you sure you would pronounce Azeroth correctly?
Yeah, because Azeroth is easy to say.
Is it? I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. Azia means heartburn in Portuguese. So it's your arch heartburn. Well, you definitely don't want a Kaladesh problem. Don't use something that was a real word previously.
Yeah, no, that's
just make something up.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, just literally make it up. I guess the fact that the set 7 is named an island makes a lot of sense since we're currently in the Azerite Sea, so I can totally promote the theme there at least.
We've also saw the island in Owl City, or we had seen pieces of it.
Oh, like in the art for Owl City?
Yeah. So all like Arcasia.
Not in the song Fireflies.
So anyway, there's Perilous Maze, right? And then that shows the little ships like having a hard time navigating these waters. When you get through the Perilous Maze, you land in Owl City, which has the owl looking person statues all over it. So they always have stuff in the art and in the flavor text, which I enjoy. Yeah, my friend Joe Westgard in Florida, he is a ninja with this stuff. He predicts sets like it's his job.
I think finding this stuff is really cool. I'm never going to be the guy that cares or does it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Ever. Not for me. Yeah, it looks like our themes here. Obviously, we got a couple starter decks. So we got I'm a very big fan of the We Can Be Immortals playmat. That'll definitely be the playmat I play on next set, 100%. I am not a fan that the deck box and sleeves are the Cinderellas and Ursulas because I will never use those. And it's really upsetting to me that they're not the playmats because I think they would have been beautiful playmats. So a little upset about that. But nonetheless, so we have a Ruby Sapphire deck, which is pretty cool. And then the other one was the Amethyst Steel, which is kind of awesome. These are, I feel like we haven't had a repeat color combo yet, right? Like we didn't have these yet. Last set was Emerald Sapphire, and I don't remember. I haven't opened a starter deck in quite some time.
Set 1 had Amethyst Steel. Didn't it?
No.
It was blue steel.
It was Sapphire Steel, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't if I can, I will go play in a starter deck tournament because stores use them to sell starter decks.
Mhm.
And then I never look at the starter decks again.
Oh, Amethyst Steel was set too. Duh. Well, if it's anything like the last one, guys, this starter deck will be broken.
Yeah. I think the Iago is pretty cool. It's huge.
It is.
It's
pretty
on
big.
top of the palaces. So I feel like it shifts, or it's just giant. Buy your foil 3-drop 3/2 evasive Iagos now. They'll go from a nickel to a dime.
That's funny.
Hey, someone bought 100 Ursulas from you, the one set. When they spoiled.
Oh no, we definitely have had some like fun ones. I mean, the other day someone bought 67 Cuscos, and I literally tweeted at Y Breezy.
Yeah,
I'm like, yo, dude, like, what are you doing? It wasn't him. Yeah, I mean, this happens all the time. I don't know. I have not sold out of Iagos. I might not have had any in stock for what it's worth, but I definitely didn't go and sell out of Iagos. I don't know. It's funny. Again, I don't. You pointing out the idea that this was a giant Iago, I hadn't even looked at the art yet. I just knew it was a Iago. I do think it's cool. It does, now that you're saying that, his foot looks gigantic. He looks like he's about to step on that castle, so that's kind of cool, or whatever the hell that is.
yeah.
I know people pointed this out. I'm not positive at all. It looks like Jafar is wearing the crown.
Yeah,
right. He's wearing, that's the treasure card from the quest. What is it called? Right? Yeah, Illuminator's Quest. That was like the card that was in the gold pack, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That everyone's like, we can't play this, and it's like, bro, you wouldn't play that.
Dude, someone tried playing that before it was legal, and like I don't remember what store there I was at, but the store owner was like, "No, you can't do it." I was like, "Just let him. Just if he wants to, just let him. Like no one is going to oppose this. Like let them have fun.
No one to be upset about your 6-cost uninkable card that like occasionally draws or something like.
Yeah.
I don't know what the card
like
does.
We were playing for nothing, so it's just
Yeah.
like just let them play it. Who cares?
Yeah. The other news this week was Fabled Welcome to the Story. So this is we assume the third set of 2025. That's my guess. They did announce, I don't even think we talked about this like ever, but they announced the set 8 is what it would be, is the Return of Jafar. I don't have that art here to look at it. This was just stuff from this week. But Fable, this is a pretty cool and retro art, right?
I love this. Yeah, this reminds me of Dark Moon Fair, the mini set from WoW. What was that, like 15 cards or something?
And then yeah, and it had like absolute bangers in it, by the way.
Yeah, I remember it cost like $10 or something. Like it would be pretty cool if this wasn't a full set, if it was just like cards reprinted with this art style.
I mean, even I don't even know if I want to say that, because I don't like the art style reminds me of the Enchanteds from this current set, and I hate them. So I don't know if
I love the weird art. I love all the different arts. I wouldn't enjoy if they went the Magic route. I know like some other content creators said they would enjoy it. I just personally wouldn't, because I'm a min rarity person, and I'm going to be annoyed if I open like multiple of the same card that look different. But like Magic,
wouldn't you just sell the one that's more expensive and then buy the min rarity?
No, but here's the thing. There's like a really expensive one, and there's a bunch that are worthless. So it's like I would have to trade with someone. You know what? Talk to people. Okay.
I also generally dislike it from Dick would know more from a store perspective too, but it also like makes your job way harder as a store.
Yeah.
Like if a set currently has like 216 cards or whatever it is with Enchanteds, and like suddenly it has 400, like it just is a lot more work to have to sort cards.
Yes.
Probably true.
And then people do want matching ones. So when you have like 2 of one, 2 of the other, it's more
Yeah.
awkward. But yeah, I mean, if it would sell booster packs though, I'm all for it because I want the game to make money. But I really like this art style. I don't mind if every set had a different art style personally. I just don't want 4 different arts for friends on the other side per
There's one.
set. Like per set.
I don't
Yeah.
know what this is. Does anyone know what this is?
Ow.
That's the word we can't pronounce.
Oh, is that the name of the owl?
Arcasia. Presumably that is Arcasia.
Okay.
Yeah. But
There's
I mean,
Alice. That's an Alice, right?
yes, Alice was so exciting. I tweeted, I was like, yeah, everyone's talking about Mushu and more Dalmatians and stuff. I see an Alice and a Bucky running around. I'm both happy and scared.
Hey man, we had to get him sometime, right?
Yeah. I mean, it could be, someone said it could be a Floodborn, and then we'll actually play the now 3-drop.
I mean, I guess he's the only one, right? There's no other Buckies.
Right. There's Morph, which you could buy 62 of from someone on Facebook.
It was like 162 of them.
Oh, okay.
It was like, yeah, it was like a million of them. He was like, oh, I thought they were going to go up, and then they just never did. I actually thought it was funny because it's something that you would do.
Yes. I'm about to cash out. I almost cashed out of Friend Like Me. And I'm like,
Okay.
you know what? I only had a quarter into each one, whatever.
It's fair.
Let's see.
It's fair.
Giving me some runaway railway vibes. Yeah, it would be cool if like there was a theme park within Lorcana and we had rides. Maybe they could be locations.
I could see that.
Snapping that fourth wall in half.
Well,
Okay.
you know, they finally, I guess they defeat Jafar and they're happy again. So they build a theme park.
There you go. The thing that I liked about the Reign of Jafar is that it's like I know we made this joke about a year ago when the set was called Ursula's Return. We're like, we don't get it. Like where did she go? At least this, you know, in the set 7 art, there's like a Jafar, and then all of a sudden the set 8 art, there's like another Jafar. Like, okay, so like maybe this is clearly like a story arc over the next couple sets, which I do kind of enjoy. I don't think we get enough of that, honestly, in Disney Lorcana. So I feel like it's possible that set 7 and 8 are the first time that it's multiple sets of story. I don't know that we've really gotten that anywhere else. So I don't know. That's kind of what I'm excited for. This Jafar also looks like a badass. So there's that.
Is his cape turning to sand that he's sitting on?
It's something.
And then him wearing the Hexwell crown with his headpiece looks like an owl to me.
Well, it does. It's also red now. Wasn't the other one purple a second ago?
I think Baker said that it depends who's wearing it. Like his thoughts are red. Each ink color has its own identity. So
sure.
Yeah, he has red thoughts.
Fair.
Yeah, for if you want a full breakdown of all this, just go watch Baker's video. Because he is deep into it. Like voice acting and everything. It was great.
Not me.
Yeah. I told him, you know, if he ever gets that job as Jafar, I'll be the Iago. I don't know a more annoying voice in the game. Okay.
That's fair. That's funny. Yeah, so they said that the reveal spoiler season does not start until February 10th.
Oh yeah, I love that.
That's so far away.
I think it's great. I would love to have like some set regimen, like the fact that it's after set champs, I think is awesome. Because like, you know,
Here's what
other
I-
people
here's what I
are
told you.
excited for set champs. And then
Sure.
they'll have something else to be excited for. And
Sure.
as soon as they start doing spoilers, that's when people's pocketbooks tighten a little bit. That's when they're like, oh, I'm not buying anything else because I'm waiting to buy a box of the next set and stuff like that. So I think it's also good for stores in that sense.
Isn't it worse for stores that have to put pre-orders in and don't know anything about the set?
No, people are going to buy it no matter what. You want people to still be paying
Tell
to
that-
enter
Tell
tournaments.
that
and
to
stuff.
like 1 out of every 4 Magic sets.
I know nothing about Magic sets now, but I know that was true when there was old blocks. Like the third set never mattered, but like the stores should know that. And there was also a rotation in Magic, and there's no rotation in this game.
I don't know. I think it's a. There's parts that I think are good and there's parts I think are bad. The idea that we are so accustomed to a lorecast that gives us information that like we can just be like, oh, okay, like now we get it, we know what's going to happen. To seemingly, I don't know that we're getting any of that now. And also now you're talking about basically 200 cards revealed in 3 weeks. So now I feel like every time I blink, there's going to be another card revealed, and by the time that we get through it, I'm not going to remember half of it anyway. It's just going to be irrelevant, you know.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. We're gonna show up to our pre-release, which, by the way, they used the word pre-release, and it's only a week early.
Was it for this? I don't think it was for this. I think it was for the next set.
At some point, they used the word pre-release, and I think it was only. Well, I'm quoting another show. They said it was only a week early instead of 2 weeks. So like there might actually be a real pre-release where there's like pre-release promos, not just stores do whatever they want.
My question is, will it be an actual pre-release or will it be like a fake pre-release to the big box store release?
I mean,
because in all honesty, for us, the set's not released until the big box stores get it. So
yeah, I am hopeful that it's gonna be like Magic, where you show up and like you do a 6-pack sealed and you get a random promo card, or everyone gets the same promo card, and it's like maybe it's date stamped or something like that. So it's not one that you can open in a booster pack.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like that. That was one of the things I definitely did enjoy about sealed Magic tournaments. Yeah, it's also one of those where, you know, you can just show up and know that the store is going to do it. Where it's definitely better than starter decks, if you ask me.
I hate this. I hate the starter deck tournaments, but I understand that like that's where stores are going to sell 90% of their starter decks.
Yeah, I get it, but at the same time, you know, if I were a store, I'd probably just buy 1 case of starter decks and be like, hopefully I sell these. I don't know. That's just kind of where I'm at.
Same.
I just wouldn't buy them.
You guys are like hyper invested players, though. Like you're not the target audience for starter decks.
Yeah,
right. But the problem is that I don't know that anyone is the target audience for starter decks. Like it's not like even the only reason why starter decks are successful on a like shelf is if a new player comes in on a random day. No one knows, like no one's gonna want to just know that there's a starter deck tournament. Like if they don't play the game, they don't know to look for the information. So like it's not like you're getting new people for a starter deck tournament. That's just not true.
I don't think you need 2 starter decks every set, and I don't think you need starter decks every set.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Nunes, do your thing, and then I want to talk about this comment.
I think you do. Like, not every player is like hyper invested in the game. Not every player is like a brilliant deck builder. Like,
even if that's true, how do they know that the tournament? How do they know there's a starter deck tournament?
Because you know when the set's coming out. Like the starter deck tournament is like the first weekend that the set is out.
But like, what type of players know this?
Like you could be a very casual player and know that a new set is coming out. Like if you have 3 weeks worth of spoilers.
This is all in a world where we're talking about a card game player, right?
But like there's a broad spectrum of card game players, right? Like there is like almost no experience level card game player. There is like 8-year-old card game player. Like not everyone is Dick Burns going to 6 DLCs.
No, I know that, but I'm also talking about, I don't even think that is our average player in this game. I think our average player is a Disney fan. And it's like, they might just see a starter deck at a GameStop or some, like something like that. Like, it's not like these people are researching information about a new set coming out and then going, oh, this store that I just magically found is also holding it. Like, I don't believe that. I think that's bullshit.
I mean,
You
it
know?
definitely was true for set one. It might not be as true
Right.
now.
I think in
but
set one, it was like, sure, maybe that was like the exception. Maybe set two a little bit also, but I don't know any of the stores near me that since set two have hosted starter deck tournaments.
my local game store does, like when the set comes out every time.
I think
also
it's
went to like a
for that
convention
reason
in
they
Rhode
fixed
Island
it.
that had like a starter deck tournament. So
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just not a fan. I think that I'm glad they exist for people to walk into a store and be like, hey, I want to learn this game. How do I do it? And you're like, yeah, this is the best option. I love that. I'll be honest. I know it said it on something that said single player deck. I have no idea what the hell that could mean. Does anyone have any idea what that could mean?
Oh, it's like it said it.
Something said it. I can't remember where it was. But one of these products said single player deck.
I would think that a single player deck is just another term for a deck.
I think, yeah. I mean, is it on the starter deck?
Magic at one point had like
yeah. Okay, so it's like it's just
Magic.
It just says it on the starter deck. So I think that's true. It's just like this is just a deck for one player. I think that it just looks weird.
Yeah, like because Magic had 2-player starter decks. Yeah. So I think it's kind of just saying like, hey, when you drive home, when you and a friend buy this and you drive home, don't be mad at us because we wrote on it single player deck. Like this isn't a board game. If you find this at Walmart, this is not like an all-encompassing game that you can just pick up and play.
That makes all the sense.
The worst was like FFG decks where you had to buy 2 of them to have one deck. Like Legends of the 5 Rings and stuff like that. You had to buy 2 starter decks to have one deck. So if you and a friend wanted to play, you needed 4 starter decks or play with half decks.
I actually like half decks as a concept.
But anyway, I'm wondering if stores have to buy a certain number of starter decks because like a week after set release, you can buy most starter decks for like $6 each if you buy them by the case on TCG Player or eBay. Like, I don't understand why the stores are so flooded with starter decks when they should know better. As even if this is their first game that they've like had tournaments for, there are stores I go to, they have never had a Magic tournament. They've never had Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments. This is their first game, so they didn't know what to do. And even they at this point should know, don't buy 100 starter decks.
Yeah.
So, and like I buy starter decks off TCG Player and throw them in my vendor booth in my antique mall for like random grandparents. I sell them for like $8 each.
Yeah.
Like if you were going to buy a booster pack, you basically just got a starter deck for $2. Like I'm not trying to juice anyone out here.
Oh, is that like Kylie actually being like the real detective here? Yeah, maybe that's just it. Do older decks actually say starter deck, and this just now says single player deck? Like, yeah, Dick.
I have so many starter decks in my bedroom. It's like
set 5 one here. No, this set 5 one. Oh, okay, all right. So this is hard. It's not going to come up, but this
it says starter deck on the bottom.
It says starter deck, but up here does say single player deck.
Single player starter deck.
So they've just officially.
If they removed the word starter, I am betting that someone in R&D believes that people who are already playing the game are not purchasing these because of the word starter, which is not the case. They're not purchasing them because it's just like not worth the money if you are going to buy a lot of other product anyway.
It's true.
If you want to play the game like it's a board game, I think that's great. I think every year they should release that year's starter decks in a big box that you can keep on your board game shelf. And when you have people come over, you just pull it out and you tell them to pick a random deck. I
Well,
have
isn't
that for
what
many
Gateway is
games.
for?
Gateway is kind of like a living legacy game. Like you eventually unlock things to add to your deck, but you end up with just a deck by the end of it. Like one of that player that I met at my set champs, he got into it through Gateway.
Okay.
He like bought it for his kids, and he's like, "Oh, this wasn't a board game. This is a card game."
Right.
Okay,
right.
Where else can I play this?
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So like Magic came out with commander decks that were just like 8 commander decks. It was like $200, which was insane. But if you were just a casual Magic player, and sometimes you had people that came over that like you played board games with and they knew how to play Magic, you could just have very even decks with no thought involved whatsoever at all times. And I think that's a slam dunk product. I mean, Pokemon sells boxes with a large promo and like 8 different booster packs. And like my nephew goes ham for those things. Like you if you open the most expensive card there is, the box isn't dead because it's from 8 different sets. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that I want to say the word shocked, but I definitely think that multiplayer would be phenomenal in this game if they supported it like in any manner.
I love multiplayer.
I just think that it's a super casual format, and most people just want to play with as many friends as possible. So to me, if they were to support it in any fashion, I think that it would be great. Honestly.
And in this game, you don't eliminate people unless you mill them.
Sure.
But so like when the game's over, you all start a new game. One person doesn't wait 2 hours.
Yeah. Or there's also in some weird way like not bullying, whatever. It's just, to me, it's more of just an understanding that it would be a way that more casual people would play the game already. So I could just see if they ever wanted to focus on it, I think it would just be a slam dunk. But that's also even when you talk about Magic, it's not like they designed cards for Commander for 20 years. It was a fan community thing,
Maybe AJ can pick it up. We were having a conversation in our Discord, and one of the products said team up with your friend.
Yeah.
And that intrigued me. I would love to team up with people.
Yeah, I don't remember what that was from either.
Especially like a newer person.
Yeah.
And I can help them literally right next to them.
Yeah, I think I think specifically in a game where you're talking about parents bringing their kids, husbands and wives playing together, like stuff like that. Two-headed giant, whatever the hell you want to call it for Lorcana, that also feels like a slam dunk thing, specifically on those pre-release weekends. Like, show up to pre-release, bring a friend, play with your friend. I mean, that's like, duh.
Yeah, I think there was a dad who put him and his child were in an LCQ together, and he could not get permanent seating.
Yeah,
which is crazy to me. But I digress. Like, he wants to experience this with his children.
Yeah.
So give us a way to.
I agree. So we're 3 weeks away, but it's like, I guess the question is, are you tired of Azerite C yet, Nunes?
No. I think there's still a lot of room to explore. Like the community as a whole has not like delved as deeply as they could into the format. Like our Emerald Sapphire deck, like that deck could iterate 15 times in the next 4 weeks. Like there's a lot of room to explore.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think it's really interesting when you have a metagame that is like seemingly this diverse, that every version of a deck that I think could win a set championship could be 10 cards different every week, and it wouldn't even shock me. So I think when you have that level of creativity, this would be the best time, like if there were multiple DLCs in this format, I think that each metagame might have drastically changed from the last. Whereas, you know, in the Shimmering Skies metagame, it was just like, well, who's the best Emerald Steel player this day? So yeah, I don't know. Or I just think that it's a shame that this is a period game where the competitive scene is like at basically its lowest in a year.
Yeah, so this set, I would say if I looked at the art of a card, I would know exactly what it did. I can't think of half the cards off the top of my head. Whereas every other set, I could probably tell you the cards in numerical order. I just haven't played. I don't even own most of this set. Like, I'm borrowing half. James owns half my deck. Like,
I think that's also part of the. I don't know. I guess that's tough to say. To me, it's clear that some of the cards just don't live up to the power level of the current game. Some of the cards look like they're just missing something that they desperately need. Hopefully it comes. You know, I don't know. At the end of the day, when you really look at Azurite Sea, it to me it only feels, it probably is more than this number, but it only feels like there's 8 cards that are that impactful. And I'm sure it's a little bit more than that, but when I really think about it, I can just go like, yeah, I could probably name 8 quickly, and then I don't know like where I would reach to from there. So that's a really low portion compared to like Shimmering Skies that had a pretty big amount. Even Ursula's Return was obviously huge for the game. So there's a lot of times where like new sets come out and it's like super impactful, where I feel like Azurite Sea came out and all it really did was played support to what like all the other decks were already designed to do. That's how I feel. But that also gives room. You know, like when I played Peter Pan 2 weeks ago, my opponent was like, what the hell is that? So
yeah, that was fun. I drew the last 2 rounds of set champs, and one player's opponent did not show up. They just went home without dropping. So I asked her if she wanted to play, and we were sitting at table 1. So anytime people finished their games, they came over and watched. And just the amount of people that picked up cards that were on my board to read them was pretty awesome.
This is how my wife feels about Peter Pan, guys. I actually said to her, I'm like, yeah, listen, you know, if you want to test for set championships, I just want to let you know that we're going to play like 2 games and you're never going to want to play against this deck ever again.
Yeah, AJ's mom told me I was a terrible person. She goes, if you're playing that, like, she's like, if you're playing that ever again, I just don't want to play. And this is why, like, I never took Emerald Steel to locals unless someone else was like bullying everyone with it. Had to fight fire with fire.
All right, well, it looks like we're losing Nunes. So Nunes.
I'm just getting antsy, man. I don't know. It's a long time to be seated in one place.
No, I hear you. You're not used to that. There was a couple things that you wanted to touch on. And I think some of them are fair.
And one of those things was me.
Wow.
Friendly channel. I don't know if that's appropriate.
I mean, last week it wasn't family friendly.
Two bros can't cuddle? What? I mean, what is this world coming to?
It's true. All right. So last week we kind of talked about things we'd want to see in 2025 after a lot of complaining. Some of the things that you had brought up to me today, I think are interesting, but they're for different reasons. So you brought up the idea of the qualification system. So in 2025, what would you like to see differently done for the qualification system for Continentals and/or Worlds?
I think I'd like a system closer to how either Pokemon or Magic has done it in the past, where Magic has used pro points and Pokemon has used championship points as a barometer for how you qualify for Magic. It was, being a platinum level pro, and for Pokemon, it's qualifying for the World Championship. But either way, rather than having like top 16 being the invite as the be all end all for continentals, and then like winning a tournament, like winning a DLC, or top 8 in continentals being how you qualify for worlds, instead having a like pseudo fractional system where like a top 16 is worth 4 points or whatever, and if you reach some point cutoff, that's how you qualify.
How? I mean, I literally I do not know the answer to this question. How big is a regional for Pokemon?
They're pushing towards 3,000 these days.
Okay, so
And they sell out in 30 seconds.
all
They
right.
do
So
sell
in a
out very
world
quickly.
like in a world where we didn't cap them at 2058, do you think Lorcana could hit 3,000?
Oh, I think so, yeah.
So by comparison, then what what would that what does their point system look like if we did say, if we had a 3,000 person tournament, how consistently successful would you have to be to qualify for Worlds?
So they changed their world system this year, so I'm not sure that this year's world system is the one that I would use.
Okay.
Um,
Use
but
use the previous.
so for reference, for this year, the top 125 point earners in North America qualify for Worlds.
Okay.
So I don't like that because I
Sure.
don't like systems where your goal is unclear and the number
Oh,
is relative to all the other competitors.
okay.
But people have said, okay, well, based on the previous year, what does top 125 look like? And last year, the cutoff was 600 points. So the top 125 last year got something in the range of approximately 650, but that's in a system where you can hit 600 and then coast because you're already qualified, as opposed for feeling compelled to need to continue to compete because if you fall short and are 126th, you just don't qualify. Their system also uses a best finish limit. So they have multiple tiers of tournaments where the regionals are the 3,000 player tournaments. They also have internationals, which are higher point awarded events, but are potentially a little smaller
Are
player
they like
wise.
are they like you have to qualify to play in them?
No, they're also open entry. But
Okay.
there are, so North America has something like 12 regionals this year, but
Mhm.
they only have one North American international tournament. So there's one in North America, one in Europe, and one in South America, which is basically always in Brazil.
Yeah.
Although in previous years they also had one in Australia. But so you have like points that you can get from the international tournaments. Your regionals have a best finish limit, so it's only your sixth best regionals.
Mhm.
Then you also have cups and challenges where um, I think set champs being smaller now means they're kind of an in between, but your challenges are like sort of like $10 entry fee tournaments where the winner gets 15 championship points, and your cups are like 25 to maybe $40 tournaments where the winner gets 50 championship points.
Hmm. I mean, I guess, yeah, set champions are in the in between, but it's also because they're not playing for anything greater. I would argue that if we were playing for points, I can tell you, at the beginning of the show, I said, oh, I don't feel like playing for a couple weeks. If you told me I was playing for points this week, I would literally show up to every tournament because like it would be important.
Yeah, I do think a best finish limit is thereby very important, where
Yeah,
like once you've reached four first places or whatever it is, and you can't actually acquire any more points from the top level tournaments that way, you would only be playing them for the love of the game, not for like feeling compelled like you need points.
right, right. Yeah, I mean, I think they're it's also weird, but it's also like this concept of just rewarding the people for playing the game, you know? And obviously, if in a world where you have to finish in the top 120, best players of points in the world, you're still rewarding like the best consistent players. But I
Right.
also think I think that there should just be something there that even at the end of the year, let's say the 125 people qualify for Worlds, great, whatever. But let's say the top 1,000 people get a promo, you know? Like if you tier it out to where there's a reason for everyone to do it, that they can create their own goal. Like maybe not everyone's goal can be I can finish in the top 28 or top 128, but if my goal can be, well, I can shoot for the top 1,000, I can get this cool promo. Like I still think that would be a nice thing to do for the game this year. Is it just attributing a little bit more to giving people like a reward system for showing up and playing the game?
I think that anything that gets more people into stores is great. I don't like acquiring points at stores because if I have already maxed out like my top 4 best finishes and I'm about to play someone in like, let's say top 8 of one of these things, and they just sit down, they're like, hey, I already know that you have them and I don't. I'm gonna feel compelled.
You can't do that in Lorcana. You can't have that conversation. So
I know, but even if I just knew it, like if I was at Continentals, like I would feel awful playing my top 16 match if I was already qualified, and it sucks. I would concede if I wasn't worried about getting disqualified. I would concede, and I don't fault anyone who didn't. I just am a very like I just always see myself in other people's shoes and how bad I would feel, and then I feel terrible.
In some ways, I would agree with you a little bit, but on that day, it's not about a Worlds invite. Like, yeah, sure, the goal might have been Worlds invite, but in all honesty, if you're playing in top 16, the only goal that day realistically was to be crowned NACC. Like if I made it to top 16, I would not have been like satisfied with Worlds invite at that point. I'm like, no, like I'm here. I want to win the whole fucking thing. So
I know. Well, like I think I've never beaten anyone under the age of 12 in a trading card game. I don't have it in me. I do not have it in me.
Well, the other thing is that the way, I mean, we talked about this a little bit, but like I think that the way they did the Worlds invites are terrible. So yeah, I get it if, you know, what did we have? 2 people that were invited to Worlds already that were in top 16. To me, it's like that's not a factor. No matter which way you look at it, 2 people were getting an invite that day that weren't them. So
yeah, like at least it got passed down. But I'm just saying, I am stupid. That's all I'm saying. That's my end. That's my TLDR. I am stupid.
Yeah, I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, but
I think the point system thing that you're in, like you're going through is a way more fair statement.
Yeah,
I don't think you're conceding to anybody in a like realistically a $500,000 game. Like that's just like a fact.
It's also like less of a problem at locals because when you've already hit your point cap, you know what you're doing when you sign up for that tournament, right? Like you are acknowledging like, okay, I don't actually need points from this tournament anymore. So like if I feel compelled to concede to someone, I can do that.
Yeah.
Like that's why I think in some ways the best finish limit is good. Because like otherwise, like there's no limit to like you should just keep playing in them. And that like can result in burnout and like
it's even worse than that. Like when there isn't a limit, it also can be like brutally fixed, which is another point.
Just gamed.
Yeah, like that's the real problem is that if you tell me, oh, if you win, you get 1 point for every time you win a 8-person tournament, you're like, well, I'll play in 7 tournaments a week. So that, you know, that's why I think I like the system. To me, I think it's a great idea to reward people that are participating in any which way. Like I always, and then like there were cool things. I remember in World of Warcraft, there was very similar to the Pokemon concept where there was like realms instead of regions, and everyone had their own realm champion. But like the entire time, like while you're trying to qualify for the realm championships, you're also accruing these points. At the end of every season, the person in the realm with the most points got something. So like I remember one of the seasons specifically, it's like me and Scott played in the finals like 4 weeks in a row. and I think I won the first 3 weeks. So when we got to it, like, yeah, we were both qualified for realm championships. That wasn't like, that was easy. We did that in week 1. But by the time we got to the end of that, we were basically both playing for, well, who's going to be like the point leader in the realm championship. It was me. I did it. But I just like the idea that like that is another way to just reward people for showing up and playing in these tournaments. If there was like a region set up for Lorcana, you know, in North America, in Europe, etc., and all of a sudden you're even like state championships, right? Like that's what does Magic still do states, right? I think even doing something like that would be cool. Like if that's they wanted to go into it, just saying like, all right, this is the best X players from Pennsylvania, from New Jersey, from, you know, North Carolina or whatever. I think that would be cool too. It's just another thing that you can just give people something to play for. And granted, I know like this is year 2 of Lorcana, and I totally understand that. But these are things that you can just easily just work in. Like it's like something so little, but it does give people more of a reason to participate in like random tournaments.
Yeah, I want people to go to stores as often as possible. Like, I want people to go to stores and win booster packs, and then those stores are paying for the booster packs. So Ravensburger still makes money, the store makes money, the players can play.
Yeah, that's fair. The other thing you touched on, Nunes, was an ELO system.
Yeah, so they're sort of tied hand in hand because I actually have a negative opinion about ELO where I think losing rating discourages play too much, and is like generally negative, feels bad, not good. So I know people like thought it was cool to create an ELO system and like an ELO rating or ranking for the DLCs, but I actually very much do not want Ravensburger to take that approach.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to because
Yeah,
of the
I
same
wouldn't
reasons
expect
you
them to,
said.
but it's something that people like to talk about, and
Yeah.
I think it's worth like mentioning in the same breath of like this is why we shouldn't go about it this way.
Yeah, because I definitely was a rating sitter for a long time. When you had 3 buys at a Grand Prix, why would you play an FNM when you could lose 16 points to someone if you just get unlucky?
I mean, isn't that's just the problem with the distribution of what it does for you, though, right?
Oh, what the ELO does, like what
Right,
rewards you get.
like the issue is that the ELO gave you 3 buys, and you don't want to lose your 3 buys. Like if
Yeah,
the ELO didn't represent that, like, because that's obviously, I mean, that's insane. Anyone that gets a round 1 buy in a tournament, like feels real good because I mean, getting 3 buys is like you're just cheating at that point. So,
And that just is how Magic was, though. Like
no, I
many
know,
of the
but that's
Grand Prix that I day two'd was off 2 buys. Like
yeah. I think that's kind of the point, is that I think you can do an ELO system and it doesn't need to be like, oh my god, I get 2 buys at a DLC. Like that
But
just seems
well, like it would also like qualify you
work.
for nationals.
Sure.
So, like,
just
you
think
don't want to
I think
lose
there
that
shouldn't be any
at
rewards
locals.
associated with ELO. If ELO existed and was like hidden in some way where like I could look at mine, but I couldn't look at anyone else's, I think that would be okay. But I don't think there should be any rewards based on ELO.
I
Yeah.
would much rather have a point system based rewards that you can't lose points.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I'm also completely content with having an ELO system like just exist. Again, I don't want to reward buys. I think that's ridiculous. I also don't know. I think that like by design, if you had both of these things, the point system would reward you, so you wouldn't need ELO to reward anything. But I don't know. I also think that in some ways it prevents crap like making a new Melee name for a tournament. You know, like I think there's a lot of that going on that people aren't really talking about for DLCs and things like that. So for me, I would be fine if it existed. Like, I don't know. But yeah, I'm definitely super anti, oh, it gives me buys at DLCs. Like, no, I don't think anything should reward that. Period. I think buys are way too powerful and we should not be giving them out. I do think that if we like redesigned how like an NACC worked, or like even if we kind of redesigned DLCs in a way, if DLCs became like more formal to 3-day events, if if they wanted to remove this whole lottery of getting a ticket, I think it'd be like, oh, if you have X elo or X points, you're automatically enrolled into a tournament. I think that would be okay, or at least if you got like a pre-registered option to play in the tournament, something like that would be okay, and you would kind of be like a buy in a way. Like, if to make this easier to explain, if LCQs on Friday were 1,000-person tournament and the top 200 people get to play on Saturday, like they move into the tournament that weekend, I think that's like a way that you could like distribute through an elo. But it wouldn't be like a buy in the main event. It'd just be like, oh, I don't have to play in the qualifier tournament, if that makes sense. I don't know. I'm just saying, I don't think you need to reward elo in any which way, or buys. I think buys are, I think that they're terrible. I would never, I think buys in any tournament should not exist, in my humble opinion. Like, other than you got lucky and there was an odd amount of people.
Bai is my favorite opponent, so
you know a thing or two about that, Dan.
I didn't. It was my worst tournament of the whole year. Like, literally, my worst tournament was when I had a round 1 buy-in. Go ahead, Dick. This is a question for you.
I think this is absolutely okay if they do it a certain way. I think if they were like announced 2 months out, like if you, for each week that you play in our locals, you save $1 on our set champs, or for each week you play in our locals, you get $2 store credit that can be used toward our set champs, then I think that's okay. Because there's even going to be local players that don't go every week because they have normal lives and just can't go every single week, that will still come pay the extra.
I mean, I think if you just want to reward your own players and say, hey, if you show up, every week until set champs, you just play for free, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Me too. I agree. There was a store that me and Natalie shot a video for like an hour, and she was zoomed in on the wrong screen the whole time, so it never saw the light of day. There was a store, their set champs was free if you played in their normal tournaments. Otherwise, it was like $250 entry. Like, it was insane. And you're allowed.
Technically, I play in all the Lehigh Valley Store champions for free. Just saying.
You're allowed to say, like, you have to attend this number of locals to even come. Like, you're allowed to exclude people within reason. Ravensburger allows it. But, like, to say, no, you can come, it's $250. Like, okay, buddy. Sure.
Yeah.
Although, to be fair, it kind of makes me want to go.
I hate that rule. For what it's worth, I think that's a terrible rule. I think you're literally you're disincentivizing community growth, and I think you're stupid if you're a store that does that.
I mean, as soon as you said in a video that I was moving in North Carolina, I was not allowed to be at certain stores. So
yeah, guess what? All those stores suck. Same. Like, you actually are stupid for not letting Dick Burns into your store.
It's crazy. I don't even win very much.
Not even the point. They're just idiots.
I know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's whatever. I think you should reward your community if you can, like, within reason. I don't think that you should, like, purposely not allow players to play in your tournament. Like, I said again at the beginning of this, the thing I like most about set championships is that I try to go to different, like, stores every season because I just want to give them an opportunity to sell me on their store. So, like, the idea that there's stores that are going, no, you can't even come. What? Like, what? Okay. I'm so glad that you needed that $50 SCAR promo. Man.
Yeah. So far, the only stores that I've been to here that don't want me back are the ones that I'm like, hey, why do you have like 500 like promos from set 1, 2, and 3 in your in your like you win a promo once a month box. Like, why didn't you give those out? And they're just like, yeah, we don't know if we want you playing here. Okay. Cool. I don't think I wanted to play here.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, like I've definitely wisened a lot of people up. Like a lot of people, this was their first card game and they just thought certain things were normal that are not normal. Like, as you've seen, you know, certain stores, you finish the entire tournament and then they say, hey, we don't have product. Thanks for the entry fees. Not, we'll get you the product next time you come in. It's just, we didn't have any this week. See y'all later.
Yeah. And this happened a couple of times too that really aggravated me. Why are stores still not getting their set championship product before set championships? I don't like, how does this happen? There were several stores I saw reported this weekend that didn't. How? Like, why don't you have your stuff? I don't understand.
It came from the distributor, I believe, not from Ravensburger. That at least that's how store championships were. You had to pick your distributor, and there were times when I owned a store that the product did not get to me. But shout out to Peach State Hobbies, the manager drove it 2 hours to my store because it wasn't my fault.
Yeah,
not every distributor cares that much.
No, yeah.
Like in the one video I made about opening a store, someone was like, "Yeah, don't pick this distributor." It's like, well, you only have like 6 to pick from, unfortunately.
Yeah. I don't know. To me, it would just, like, we're talking about having pre-release tournaments. How are we gonna have pre-release tournaments? We can't even have set championships products there on time. Now you want to have a pre-release event? Well, what's going to happen when the product doesn't show up? What are we going to do?
And it does come from the distributor, but not to throw all the distributors under the bus. I don't know when Ravensburger sends it to them.
Right.
There's too many like, this guy walks it to this desk. This guy walks it to this desk.
Yeah.
Oh, dropped a paper on the ground, didn't notice.
Yeah, that's my general worry right now, is that you want to talk about having these other tournaments, we can't even get set championships right. What the hell? And it's not like, I saw Ben here, he's in upstate New York. Okay, well, there was tournaments in PA that didn't have them. So it's not like it's just, like there were different stores all around the nation that didn't have their stuff. It's like, how?
Logan posted like, secured, and people were like, bro, it's Thursday.
Right. It's like, oh, it finally came in like a week late. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But then I don't know if you're even going to use this video, but then we have stores that have the product in hand 2 weeks early and they're selling it.
Yeah. No, it'll go up. Don't worry.
Okay.
There. I just haven't had time to do that.
I didn't know if it was bad for the brand.
No. Hey man, limelight's limelight. But yeah, I don't know. Nunes, any last words, sir?
Play Purple Steel. It's great.
Nunes, we got a question for you specifically.
Come on.
What? That's me. You can edit that out. I'd fight the chickens.
I think I'd rather a 1v1. 100v1 is hard.
He's not wrong.
You ever play Fable? You just kick them all.
I don't know if I have enough stamina for 100 kicks, man. That's a lot of kicks.
Yeah, my daughter fought a chicken. She has a scar on her face now.
If she fought one chicken, not 100.
Yeah.
Like,
she was like 2.5. It was awful. I had to save her.
Yeah. I like to promote real questions.
I like to promote the people that follow us.
That's fair. He knows better.
$5 a month for the rest of your life.
$5 a month. Oh, that guy was awesome. Dick, any last words, bro?
I got nothing. I can't wait to get yelled at when we get off here.
For what?
For showcasing that comment. I just want everyone to know why I'm bad all the time. Like why did I lose to Lorcana Villain, right? Why did I lose to Luxury? Dan tells me if I don't do a good job, he's going to spank me. Okay. I like to get spanked.
I can promise you guys that Dick cannot prove that I have said that ever.
I can hear Liz now. I don't actually hear her, but I can hear her now. And they were roommates. And they were boys.
Oh boy. Anywho, yeah, I'm enjoying my downtime of like being chill, but I am looking forward to Miami in a few weeks. I think that's gonna be a lot of fun. Now that there's also even more to play, we're gonna miss Nunes. I'm gonna miss Nunes, man.
I know. Why aren't you coming?
Dude, it's been so much traveling. Plus,
Yeah.
my local game store set champs is that Saturday.
Are you telling me you take pride in going to the stores that you enjoy?
Yeah, man.
I get yelled at for such things.
Shout out to Untapped Games. Use code SINGLE10 for 10% off your order at untappedgames.com.
He has it embedded in his brain, guys.
Dude, I wish there was like a use code Dave11 for 11% off your order at untappedgames.com, just so I could track if it ever worked.
We can make that for Metafy.
Oh,
We could totally do that for Metafy. Like, we could have a Dave Nunes code for Metafy.
sick. We're doing it.
There you go. There's
I don't wanna make
currently
any promises, but
a Metafy one right now. What is it? Hold on. Let me go find it. 'Cause we are currently running a Metafy discount for set championships.
Shout out to our sponsors, Heavy Play. Use code TFM10 for 10% off your order at
There you
Heavy
go.
Play.
Their deck boxes are great.
Their
That's all I
curved
got.
sleeves have curved sleeves, and you'll know which
Their
direction your
deck
cards are
boxes
facing.
are great. That's all I got.
Ben asked earlier what the Dick Burns brand is actually worth. I thought about writing it out, like how much I've made so far just having my name playing Lorcana, but
How much do
I
they
figured
cost, though?
I
Like
figured
per
we'd go
letter?
over time. Just like walking into stores and them handing me free stuff. Like,
Dick, I was
like,
joking
sure.
about the cost of your shirts.
Oh, see, your joke's up there.
That's
Yeah.
so good.
One day I need to sit down and change the merch site to Shopify.
There you go. That's your code to check out for Metafy. 25% off. I think it's everything. I could be wrong though. It might just be coaching. I can't remember now. It was weird when I went to make that. It made me wait to like activate it. It was the first time that's ever happened. I was confused. I don't know. But yeah, Nunes had a coaching session before he got on here. Was it a good one? Was it good?
Yeah, it was a pretty good one. I'm gonna check in before their set champs, but
Nice.
a pretty good discussion.
I had a good one this week too. I had a couple winners last week. Shout out to our friends.
Yeah.
Bucky won one, Nick won one, Michelle won one, Judge won one, or Vince, whichever way you know him. Not a bad weekend for TFM community members. Shout out to you guys for kicking ass. Not bad. But I think with that, we are going to bid this one an early adieu as I'm exhausted. And I think Nunes is going to fall asleep on us. This is the latest Nunes.
This is an early adieu? Jeez.
This is the latest Nunes has ever seen.
Unless Scott's on, yeah. And then
Yeah, me and Grandpa Scott.
Yeah,
I already have eBay loaded up to show Dan what I've been selling. So
there it is. Well, thank you guys for all hanging out tonight, especially all the ones that were extra fun in the chat, except for Jorge, not you. Just kidding, love you.
Double Jorge.
And we will we'll chat with you guys. We'll be back next Thursday. Maybe Scott will be back. Who knows? You never know. Maybe it's possible. If Scott is back, we will start earlier because Scott's old. So until next time, guys, thanks again so much for hanging out. We'll see you in the next one.